I would like to have colloquy with the author on this one, just to try to get some additional information. I happen to be the chairman of ethics, so it would actually fall on me to be able to enforce this because much of the bill itself actually comes back to ethics on it. And so I'm trying to be able to track a couple of things. Senator Slotkin brought this issue up of the qualified blind trust. That has been allowed to be able to say, if you are a big stockholder and you have it, you chose to be able to sell yours off. Some others come into it and say, hey, I have stock holdings. I'm not one of those, by the way. They would come in and say, I'm going to put all this in a qualified blind trust. They're prohibited from having communication with them. That person is actually managing it, and they're separated totally. This bill would say, no, you can't do that anymore. So if you have stocks, you can't put that in a qualified blind trust any longer. Why would that be?
Today's Senate debate highlighted a heated clash over a proposal to ban members of Congress from holding or trading stocks, as well as require them to sell all their investments to avoid conflicts of interest. Is there a middle ground that balances transparency with restraint from using qualified blind trusts or stablecoins? This conversation cuts to the core of public trust. Should elected officials be forced to sell all their investments to avoid conflicts of interest? Or is there a middle ground that protects transparency without overreach? Don't forget to hit subscribe if you want more deep dives into debates shaping U.S. law.
A couple of things. Number one, if you have a qualified blind trust and you are a member of Congress, again, you have until the beginning of your next term, should the voters see fit to reelect you.
No, I get that, but then after that, it's prohibited on it. So
correct. So for those who know ahead of time that they're going to be joining this body, they can no longer use qualified blind trusts. And the reason for that is, as you know, the rules on qualified blind trusts are not airtight. They're actually very loose. It is very difficult to police. You don't police them, and the Ethics Committee.
Well, the Ethics Committee, thank you for mentioning that. Ethics Committee does police that. So thanks for telling me what I don't do. We do police that, but
you do not police the structure of the blind trust.
We do, actually. Every single blind trust that's actually put in has to be approved.
And they have to, and so before, and you police then the buying and the selling and the communication back and forth between members?
We do police the communication between the members and the individuals of the blind trust. That's correct.
And so you think that that's an effective way? You're saying you think we need no changes now. You think that effectively accounts for any sort of
again, this suddenly sounds like it's personal. You're telling me what I don't do.
No, I'm just asking you a question because what we found over and over is when members of Congress have been investigated for securities violations, they have said over and over, oh, I had a trust. I didn't really know anything about it. And then as it turns out, they're communicating with their trustee, and they say, oh, we're allowed to do that. No. So you're telling me maybe they violated multiple laws. No, here's what I would say. I think that at the end of the day, if you're asking me why do we need to eliminate blind trusts, it's because blind trusts, I think, are often workarounds because they can be structured in multiple different ways, right? There's not one way to structure blind trust, correct? Or there's only one way?
There is a way that you have to structure it if you're in the Senate and going through ethics. Have you gone through that process before?
No, because I don't have any of these securities, James, because when I got elected, I sold all of my trusts and assets.
Great.
I don't have a blind trust. I practice what I preach. I don't have individual stocks. I don't trade in stocks. I'm not a billionaire, unlike others on this committee. And what I think is the American people are sending us a clear message, and I hope that they are watching this today. They're sending us a message that they want us to behave as they behave.
Right. So I'm just trying to ask some questions. I'm trying to figure out some things on this because of the way that it's shaped. I've got to be able to work through this. I do believe the qualified blind trust works. The folks that you're mentioning, I think, are folks that say, hey, I had a stockbroker, I had somebody that was handling that, but that was not a qualified blind trust. That's a very different structure to be able to have that. There's prohibited communication there. Many of the accusations that have been that have come in the past several years have been somebody else was handling it, but it wasn't a qualified blind trust. So I was confused on why this particular one, because there haven't been accusations on that. That's somebody that comes in with some wealth, which I don't have, which you don't have. Someone with some wealth that comes in and says, hey, this family inheritance, whatever they may have, worked their whole life, got it. They can put in a blind trust over there. This also requires several things here. It requires you sell it rather than just prohibit trades. Several times I've heard you mention, hey, they shouldn't be trading in it. What about individuals that had stocks when they came? Why should they sell it to be able to be here? Why not just have a flat-out prohibition to say you can no longer buy, no longer sell? If you have it, stock market goes up and down, you can't touch it. You have to just leave it there. Why not? What was the decision to be able to say you got to sell it all rather than just you can't trade anymore?
Well, there is a ban on trading that would take effect immediately for all members, not just new members who are coming in, but for all members.
Right.
So I've been saying over and over that you have until your next term, should you be reelected, in order to divest. But you make the important point that the trading would be prohibited immediately.
Right.
Your question is why even in the next term require people to divest? I think that the answer to that is because you know what you own, presumably. I mean, you know that you have assets in the following securities. That constitutes a financial interest, a pecuniary interest. And it presents a conflict of interest to be getting briefings, voting on legislation, doing these things where you know you could be increasing or decreasing the value of your portfolio.
We also have farmers that are here in Congress that they vote on farm policy, and they also have ag provisions as well. And so that you can't eliminate all provisions that are out there on that. So I'm just trying to be able to figure out, this also has a reporting requirement. If someone has an FHA loan, it has to come back to ethics, or a VA loan, it has to come back to ethics. If they're involved in any of the farm programs, it has to come back to ethics, and we've got to be able to track it. I'm trying to figure out what to be able to do on this. And then it eliminates the ability for someone to own crypto or stable coin. Now, we just passed a bill allowing stablecoin to exist. I'm trying to figure out why stablecoin is now in this as well. That's just a digital asset that has the same value as cash, but it's prohibited in this. I'm trying to figure out why stablecoin is cut out on this.
Subscribe if you think transparency matters. I break down these conflicts every week.
Well, you say in it now. I mean, it has been in it. It's in the bill that we passed a year ago before the most recent hasn't changed.
Stablecoin, we just made the change on to be able to open up stablecoin in the regulatory basis for all Americans.
We didn't make the change in this bill. Congress passed a bill.
I get that. That's why I'm just asking why it's still in this, that there's a prohibition for that kind of digital asset.
Well,
it's just a dollar for dollar. It's the same as owning cash. So if you own a stablecoin, that's the same as owning a dollar. It's only worth a dollar. It doesn't change in value. But a member of Congress wouldn't be able to own a stable coin anymore.
Correct, and it's for the same reason, the same pecuniary interest, conflict of interest provisions that we think with individual stock. I mean, you have to draw the line somewhere. We drew the line in this place over a year ago when we drafted and passed this bill.
Yeah, but I'm saying a stable coin is worth a dollar today. It's worth a dollar. It's not a tradable asset.
If it will get your vote, James, I'd be happy to change this on the floor.
No, that's what I'm just trying. I'm asking because as the chairman of ethics, I've got to be able to actually.
And if you're concerned that it won't be, and if you're concerned that we won't be able, the ethics committee won't be able to enforce it, we will absolutely work with you. And I know the Ethics Committee is a bipartisan committee.
It is.
And I know that your Democrat colleagues would also be happy to work with you to make sure that we can enforce this. We'll get you the guidance. And I'm happy to work with anybody on the floor who actually wants to change the bill to make it better. I mean, I agree with what Senator Slotkin said. This is not a perfect bill. It's not an ideal bill. Listen, there's provisions of this bill I don't like that much. But here's my bottom line. I've been working on this this is my 7th year now in the Senate. I've been working on it for 7 years. I want a bill that can pass this committee, that can pass the Senate, and that can be signed into law by the president. The ranking member and I worked for 2 years to get the compromise text last time. 2 years. Did I like everything in it? No. But you know what? We passed it through this committee. I just think this issue is too important to play politics with. We could do an easy messaging bill that would never pass. But if you want to really make a change and you want to make law, you're going to have to draw the line somewhere. So having said that, I will absolutely work with you, Senator Lankford, and anybody else who says, okay, you know what, I think this needs to be changed. You look at this and may say, you know what, I don't think these pieces are enforceable.
All right, let's move the debate on.
Wait a minute. I haven't yielded, Senator Paul. This is an important debate. I think we should take all the time that we need. I think it's absolutely vital that we get it right and get it as close as we can. But what I do not want to do, and what I will not consent to, and what I'm going to be very critical of, are attempts to kill it, where it is, well, you know, this is not quite right, so we're going to kill it here. And this is not quite what I want, so we're going to kill it. I don't want to kill it. I want to move it. I want to move it. I want to get this enacted. I want the American people to be able to trust this body. And I think that's why this vote today is so important.
All right, let's move it along. On the question of stablecoin that Senator Lankford brings up, the hope is that someday in the near future, it may be that everything you purchase on Amazon, that stablecoin is a choice. It may be at Walmart you use it. So you're passing a law today that somehow may prohibit anybody in office from shopping on Amazon. So this isn't a very well thought out bill. We have a couple over here. Senator Gallego.
And in case anyone's wondering, I am not the billionaire.
Traditionally, members of Congress who own stocks can place them in a qualified blind trust. This lets a third party manage the assets, and the law prohibits the member from knowing what's being traded. The new bill would eliminate that option, forcing members to sell their holdings outright. Critics say blind trusts aren't airtight. Loopholes allow back-channel communication, and past investigations have shown members exploiting these gaps. Proponents argue that only a full ban ensures the public knows lawmakers aren't profiting from insider knowledge. Opponents, like Senator Lankford, argue blind trusts work when properly policed by the Ethics Committee. Forcing divestment could unfairly penalize lawmakers with pre-existing assets or family inheritances, discouraging qualified individuals from serving. The bill also bans members from owning stablecoins, digital currencies pegged to the US dollar. Critics questioned why an asset designed to stay at $1 value should be treated like volatile stocks. Supporters say any digital asset could present a conflict of interest if Congress regulates cryptocurrency markets. Critics argue this is overreach. If stablecoins are essentially digital cash, banning them makes no sense and could even affect basic transactions like shopping online. For ongoing coverage of crypto regulation and Congress, subscribe. You won't want to miss updates. The bill requires full divestment, selling all assets by the next term, rather than simply banning active trading. K. Supporters, knowing you own certain stocks, is itself a conflict. You may vote to benefit them even without trading. Opponents, a no-trade rule achieves the same effect without forcing personal financial losses. If you want breakdowns of complex financial ethics debates like this, hit subscribe and stay informed. This debate isn't just about congressional perks, it's about trust in government. Public polling shows most Americans want strict limits on lawmakers' trading stocks. But drafting a law that's both tough and workable has proven difficult, especially when it comes to new tech like crypto.